Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Aloha, Hawaii Boss podcast crew out there listening in again to another wonderful week. I'm glad you're listening today. We've got Jay Marxen, who's responsible for the motorsports division. That includes all the motorcycles and stuff, you know, the UTVs, the big Harleys, the Ducatis. He's got a few KTMs out there. Anyway, BMW. It's exciting to walk the showroom floor. If you can get your wife in there, maybe that's the first step. Anyway, we're excited to hear from Jay Marxen. He talks about his motorsports division, but he's also a partner in a great family business. And so we're excited to hear from him. Also his career path, where he came out from underneath his father's shadow and moved to the mainland to get his own chops, his own car sales chops, built, developed, and he came back home ready to go. And he took over the Chevy dealership. Anyway, it's exciting to hear from Jay Marxen. His coaching that he does with young people. And so we're excited to hear about this hardworking car salesman, basketball coach, mentor, and Hawaii boss. We're excited to have Mr. Jay Marxen. Aloha and welcome, Jay Marxen.
Hi, how are you?
Good, Jay. David Pettijohn. We're just getting to know each other, and we're excited that we're here with you today as Vice President of the Motorsports Division. We're just getting to know you at Cycle City, but it feels like there's more than just Cycle City. When you say Motorsports Division, that just sounds like one part. So it sounds like outside of Cycle City, there's other things that your company does. Tell us a little bit about your company and sort of how you fit in there.
Yeah, so J&N Group falls under, or Cycle City, I should say, falls under the umbrella of J&N Group. And
okay,
we have 13, 14 different car manufacturers, 13 different motorcycle manufacturers.
So this is a long-term company in Oahu. When did this, can you give us a little bit of the history? Because that's what we want to do too in Hawaii Boss. We want to find out, the folks that have sort of built us to where we are now. And it seems like you might have some of the answers that we need as we kind of move through this pandemic. So let's talk about that. So get some history here. We need to know the deets.
Joe Nicolai opened Wholesale Motors up in 1961. So we are actually celebrating our 60th anniversary this year of being in business in Hawaii. Started off as a small used car lot and just developed into—
Whereabouts? Where at?
On Kapiolani.
Okay. No more.
I think it was Ala Moana actually at the time. So it was a small lot. And then he just grew down to Nimitz Highway at J&N Chevrolet.
Okay.
And expanded from there. And now his son has taken over. And
what's his name?
Brad Nicolai.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a family tradition.
Yeah. He's been, Brad's taken the company definitely to new heights. He built and opened Velocity on Kapiolani.
Okay.
And it's a one-of-a-kind dealership. It's basically an indoor auto mall with all luxury vehicles. And then it's more than a car dealership. It's a destination. So there's restaurants in there. We have the MW in there. We have a beauty salon, a men's salon in there where you can go in and get your hair cut, shop for some clothes, just a variety of different amenities that you normally would not find in a car dealership.
Now, listen, I'm an average Joe. I'm driving by that and kind of side-eyeing it, but I'm not stopping in there right now. I'm maybe you got some other lots that might fit my thing, but
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Audis are great vehicles and affordable. So Audi, we have Audi in there. We have Alpha, Lincoln, Jaguar.
I know they're looking so clean too, all shined up and waxed, and the glass is looking so nice. And
yeah.
And so okay, so you've got a whole, started little mom and pop. You were involved, or your family was also involved in the business as the company came up?
Yeah, so it's a great story. My parents moved to Hawaii in 1987, and my dad went to work for Joe. he actually searched all over for a job. We didn't have much, and Joe gave him an opportunity. He'd never been in the car business. And he ended up running that dealership with Joe for over 20 years. My mom was involved. And then I started when I was 15, working in the parts department, stocking parts.
Stocking parts. You weren't the guy out schlepping and cleaning out the cars that they just turned in and
that was actually my first promotion.
That's a bump. That's a bump up.
That was a bump up. I had to get a driver's license to be able to clean the cars. So
the lot guy, right? You're cleaning cars and you're parking them and, you know, settling up. Say, hey, they want to test drive that one. Let's get it ready for whatever. And
yeah, exactly. So that was my first promotion. There was being a lot attendant.
You still hire lot attendants out there? I mean, it's still a thing, or you have to pull that off sometimes too. I imagine. Still, you're the big boss, but maybe you got to go out there and move some cars around.
You know, the big boss just means you're serving the people and whatever they need, you got to do. So there's no doubt I move cars, I wash cars, I drive them. Right. Got to be boots on the ground in this business to really understand all the people. It's definitely a people business.
So yeah, it sounds like those maybe the family business was some of your first work, you know, some of your first vocation, you know, getting promoted to lot guy and moving things along. Where to go from there? So, of course, my parents wanted me to go to college, and at the time I wanted to keep working. So I'll never forget the weekend before I graduated, my dad said, okay, you can be a car salesman, but it's not for everybody, and kind of discouraged me from selling cars. He warned you.
The day after I graduated, I started selling cars and found the love for the business, never looked back. You know?
Well, there's been some friends of mine and some friends of my younger brother. He's just a little brother. I call him. He's 2 years younger than me. But he had friends that, I mean, they were very successful, you know, ran a little local lot from our high school in Little Oregon. And then all of a sudden they're up in Portland, you know, moving vehicles like crazy. They just get there's a whole system involved. So where did you kind of gain your chops? Did you keep learning here in Hawaii, or did you go out to the mainland and expand a little bit?
Yeah, I spent 5 years on that car lots, but when I was 23, my dad retired and family decided to move to the mainland so that they had more access to traveling. Sure. And I needed to kind of escape my dad's shadow from that dealership, and actually moved my little family to Alabama. And
Alabama, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Well, these car dealers, there's networks all over the place. Did you know someone out there?
I didn't. I actually followed them. And when I got there, I went to work for a Chevy dealership as just a salesman. And within 6 months was given the opportunity to run the store. And I was probably one of the youngest managers to run a Chevy dealership. I ran it for 9.5 years. And got a call from Brad one day and came home back in 2014.
He said that Chevy dealership's doing okay for you, your family, but you know, it's time to come home. When I bet there were some times during those 9.5 years in Alabama, I'm sure you met a lot of great people and probably people from Hawaii too, but it feels like there's this call that people want to come back home after they've gone and spent some time out there, or there's others that just stay. You know, how was it for you? Was it, you know, were there temptations earlier to come back?
Well, my wife's family, she has a huge local family out here in Mililani.
Sure.
And the whole time we were up there, we used to tell each other, when the time is right, we're going to end up back there. I always wanted to run J&N Chevrolet. It was a dream of mine to sit in my dad's seat.
Right.
And we just knew at one point the time was going to come, and it came, and everything fell in line.
Right.
And since being home, Brad's just given me one opportunity after the next to grow and expand.
Right. And so let's talk about that a little bit. You know, that you had that dream, but again, you kind of, sometimes family businesses, the son takes over. It's not the same as dad. There's a lot of, you know, this and that. And like you said, there's a shadow there, and it's a real thing, and it's not bad, good, whatever. It's a thing, you know, you have to create your own voice. And so, like you said, when you came back, it sounds like you had your own experience set and things. And so how did you readjust now as a new professional, as a mature professional, as you came back to Hawaii? What was different for you?
Well, I think the car business changed. And,
okay.
You know, Brad and I kind of went through the ranks together when we were younger.
Mhm.
But we fit the mold more of today's car buying than we did what our parents went through. And I
Okay.
say that whereas now it's really experience driven. Everything is centered around the customer and the type of experience you deliver to the customer.
Okay.
We fit that mold. So for us, it was just natural to flow right in. We fit better with today's buying.
Sure. And especially it sounds like with the various dealerships and brands that you have available, that really gives you the breadth to be able to sort of tailor all of your services. But how do you make those, all those different brands work together? Do you have like brand managers and things? Or do you have to be the mastermind of all that?
No, we definitely, you're nothing without your people, right? That's your number one asset. So we have managers in place at all the stores, and we try to run together with everything. So if one store is training on aspect of what we call hospitality car sales, everybody is going through it at the same time.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that whether you're walking into our Chevrolet dealership, one of our motorcycle stores, or even Velocity Honolulu, you're going to get that same experience regardless where you go.
Right. Okay. So whether it's Cycle City, which is the most exciting place that I visit, I actually was able to get my wife in the door. And so anyway, no, we teased with the guys. We said, hey, first step, guys, just get her in the door, walk the floor room. That's kind of the thing. And then after that, and then the guy, I told that to one of the sales gentlemen there over the weekend. He said, no, next is flowers, so he was helping me out. So you got some good, so that that customer service tailored to it, must be working out. But so you're over the motorsports division specifically. I know it sounds like you wear a lot of different hats and sort of role play, but is that Cycle City specifically, or what kind of brands does it all cover with what that focus as far as that goes?
If we're talking about just power sports, we have all the major brands that you would want in one building. We have anything from Harley, Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda, KTM, BMW, Ducati, you name it, we got it under one roof for everyone to see, regardless of what type of riding you plan on doing, on-road, off-road. We even do Yamaha watercraft. So,
and then the what are the UTVs now? Those 4-passenger, what are the Razors and different things? What the Yamaha and different?
Our number one is the Kawasaki Mule.
Okay.
And it's a UTV, and it's anywhere from 2 to 4 passengers. Just great vehicles. We find that they do well in business settings. So you don't want a truck going through, or you got a resort. Even some of our ranches are using them for tours out here for tourism. And they're just great all around vehicles that accommodate multiple people at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, there's just so much, and if we could explore it a little bit, because again, I motorcycles and stuff, I'm trying to look, that's why I have my wife in there. I'm looking for, I've got a Suzuki V-Strom 1000 that's 2007. It's still plugging along. So I'm either thinking trade in or maybe second motorcycle. But again, these are political things you have to worry about in your, but so a guy comes in, I've got a little bit of experience, but a guy comes in, new guy, never rode a motorcycle before, new guy or gal, because, everybody's looking for maybe some economical transportation, but they want to be safe too. I don't know. What are the types of things when they come through that door, they're calling, they're looking online, there's different options for them to look. What are your customers looking like right now?
It's a big spread, because you have so many different types of street motorcycles, from scooters to adventure bikes. Then you got your Harley riders, your sport bikes. I would say the number one thing that we try to steer our customers towards that are first-time riders is being comfortable on the motorcycle.
Sure.
It's a sport and it's a hobby. It can be used as daily transportation, but the biggest thing is that you have to be comfortable, not just physically comfortable, but mentally comfortable. If you get on a bike that's too powerful for you, it's going to be an instant turnoff.
Right. And then you won't want to touch motorcycles anymore.
Exactly. So we really try to focus on what types of experiences, if any, they've had in the past, and putting them on something that they feel comfortable with. And then if you purchase a motorcycle from us, we will give you a certificate that will pay for the LCC rider course.
Okay.
It's a 3-day course. By the time you're done, they'll teach you all the safety tricks, everything you need to know about being on the road. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll pass, and they will give you a certificate to take to the DMV for your license.
No, that's very helpful. I know I took a class when I first started because, sir, I just, it just really helped to teach some fundamentals about really some important safety issues about basic things like turning, sudden braking, swerving if you need to, things to look out for. Like you said, I think we talked about it before, defensive driving, where you're really aware of your environment. That's what I like the most about motorcycles. Every time you see another motorcycle, they just have a certain extra sense of awareness, or try to, they wave at each other and, kind of signal, let them know, hey, we're all out on the road out here. Sometimes safety is a big issue for folks, especially, but again, that safety course is a big deal. So, and you don't have to go through, I think that's a value that's $300 or $400, I think, at least to get into that class.
Yeah, it's definitely presents it's a few $100s, but it's worth every penny. It definitely saves lives, and it teaches people the importance of being safe out on that road. And like you said, awareness is a big factor. Not every motorcycle accident is driven because somebody's acting crazy on a bike. A lot of it has to do with their surroundings and people just not seeing them, positioning yourself correctly in the lane, making sure that you're aware of everything going on. So
And the most I see, and again, nothing against moped drivers, but moped drivers seem to be the most willing to take the most risks, and they have the least power to be able to deal with the situation. They're jutting into traffic. I see some of them try to get on the H1, and like, okay, people, we're getting a little risky here. So it's good to, those classes help to teach those kind of things out of you. Like, okay, having the right motorcycle for the right situation. And as you're saying, comfortable, fit. But I have to tell a story. The class I went to, the gentleman, some 75-year-old at least, first-time rider, he bought a Honda, some kind of 1800 mega cruiser, right? And this thing is like bigger than a Honda Fit, the motor. And so anyway, because they can do that too. In the course I took in the state, if you're a 650 or above, you have to do your test in a 650 or above.
Oh.
And so anyway, I'm inside baseball here, but anyway, so this guy was having a really hard time trying to muscle around this 1800 cc motorcycle. So like you say, and that's what I see on your showroom floor a lot too, are some of these basic ones. So entry level, the Kawasaki, the Ninja 400s are pretty basic, but that's not all you have either. You go all the way up to the one I'm eyeing, this some of the Ducati bikes that you've got, but sometimes hard to find a place to drive around, but there's lots of clubs around, and sometimes you get these story about different motorcycle clubs, and they've got the leather jacket, and you can't hang out with that club or whatever like that, but seems like they work a little bit more together here when these motorcycle clubs. Can you tell us a little bit about that, your experience?
Yeah, we have a lot of motorcycle clubs, and they all have their own patches. But the best thing about being in Hawaii is motorcycle clubs are a community, and they support one another. We don't have the friction between the clubs. They get together, they ride, they sponsor events together, and it's just, they're all one. They're all in it to enjoy the ride, and it's very, very, it's amazing to see and watch. Especially we have tourism that comes into the stores, tourists comes into the stores, and they're like, what's up with all your patches on the walls? They don't get upset? No.
Right.
We bring them all together. Before COVID, we had bike nights where our parking lot was packed with 700-800 motorcycles.
Wow.
All different clubs, everybody just getting together and enjoying the times.
Yeah, and that's sometimes, the sport bikes, don't want to mingle with the cruisers and that kind of thing, which is like in the mainland is more, because again, there's a little more space where people cruise and do their thing. Yeah. But again, here, it's not so exclusive that way. But you said something about pre-COVID. Now tell us about that, people are now trying to get back together. One good thing about a motorcycle, guys, is no mask required, by the way.
That's right.
Helmet, yes, I recommend helmet for sure, but no mask. And so, yeah, tell us about how this pandemic has affected your business overall. We can talk motorsports, motorcycles, because I'll keep talking forever, but across the board, with this whole business of, auto and transportation sales,
COVID has definitely presented a lot of challenges. And the number one thing that we're focused on here is keeping our staff safe, keeping the employees safe, and trying to keep up with the different regulations and restrictions and rules that come out. So that's definitely an ongoing study, as I would call it, because it changes so frequently. And of course, we're faced with inventory challenges, not just the vehicles themselves or the motorcycles, but parts. The world wasn't ready for everything to go on lockdown and shut down and then try to restart. So we're sitting in situations with inventory that we've never ever thought we'd experience.
So we're talking, maybe it was a couple of weeks before, like, okay, we got our location of that part. It's out in Ohio. It's going to take 1 week or whatever like that to get here. But now, like, okay, you're scrambling probably worldwide. Where are the resources at? And
everything is on back order. So you order something, you really have no idea when it's coming.
Okay.
And this is all industries, everywhere. There's a shortage of something, but customers are getting a little frustrated with that. But you could order a part today, and it could be 6 months, it could be 9 months, it could be 1 week. We don't know.
Right. And the customer comes in, says that's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is your deal?
Yeah, we're faced with that on a daily, but ultimately we can explain it, and when you put in different perspectives, they tend to understand and wait it out. They're not pleased. Of course, they want to be on the bikes, but that is one challenge. But there's been some positives to COVID too.
Okay.
COVID was not just negative. One of the positives is I feel like the community itself has discovered the importance of being outside. We're selling. We've been pre-sold on kid dirt bikes and adult dirt bikes for over a year. They come in and they're pre-sold. They're going out the door.
They're gone.
Watercrafts jet skis have been pre-sold now. We've already sold out of 2022s, and we're taking deposits for 2023s. And
wow.
I say it's a positive from a business perspective, but it's really a positive when you think about, okay, these families are now getting together, they're doing something together as a unit.
Right.
They're up at North Shore in Kahuku, or they're out at Kaneohe Bay playing in the sandbar outdoors and not in front of a TV or a computer or video. And that to me is really a positive for everyone.
And it's relatively inexpensive. It's not like, if you can get some entry level stuff to get you up there and moving. Sometimes you might need a trailer. If you don't, if you got a pickup truck though, you can usually load that stuff in there. So tell us about Kahuku a little bit. And is there like a, it's got all kinds of tracks and trail. Maybe there's a little motocross track and some, how many folks are going up there? Is like a membership or something like that? Or is it a state program or what?
Yeah, you just pay when you go up, but they have everything from a small, they have an ATV track, motocross track, they got trails. You can pretty much do anything you want up there with a dirt bike or an ATV. They haven't opened up to UTVs, but it's a great family environment. You just go up, spend the day up there, and you can ride forever. And the caliber of riders varies. We got kids out there on 50cc dirt bikes that are 4, 5, 6 years old with training wheels. So it's fun to see. And, we're very thankful that there's a place for them to get out and enjoy being up in the mountains and trails and riding together as a family.
Right. Now, you selling a lot of stuff on the outer islands? How does that work?
Yeah, we recently acquired back Cycle City, Maui. So we opened that store up in February, and we're getting ridership going out there, both on the roads and in the dirt.
Okay. So
we're starting to see some good things happen in Maui. Kauai is absolutely enjoying the off-road environment. Big Island's picking up too. So it's a statewide deal right now that people are just enjoying being outside. The lockdown, I think, really taught them something in that respect.
Yeah, I think all of us sort of helped. Well, it was forced to sort of reshuffle and like, okay, if I can't go do this, this, and this, and a lot of indoor things, well, what can we do outdoors? And sort of rekindle the love for dirt bikes. I know there's a lot of guys probably that rode when they're young, and then they kind of get through things, and maybe I have some a little bit of extra cash here that I can put down on a bike, and then also again have some fun with the kids. But you start getting into the gear and everything like that. It's not a cheap hobby.
It's not a cheap hobby, but the gear will last for a while.
That's right.
Maybe not for the kids; they're growing pretty quick. But for the parents,
that's right. Unless you expand out the other way, they don't fit. The boots will still fit, maybe, but
if you're actually using them and not just looking at them, you won't be expanding, because it's quite a workout too.
It is. You know what? People find, just like they have a hobby of surfing, but motor, dirt bikes and things, very physical, and very demanding, and maybe a little dangerous. That fulfills that sort of that risk that we need in our lives a little bit, and stuff. Do you ride?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I got a couple Harleys in the garage.
What is it?
I got a couple Harleys in the garage.
Oh, a couple now, of course. Well,
motorcycles has been a passion of mine for 20 years. I just recently got into the motorcycle business in the company a couple years ago. Brad asked me to kind of jump on this side, but it was a personal passion for me prior to, and I've just loved riding. It's the only thing that kind of gives me my escape.
Right. Well, I wanted to go down and take a look at a Pan American, and I've seen them out in the wild. But again, I don't see them in the store. You're not seeing them
in the showroom.
I know, because they're gone. Yeah, I saw a guy. I was like, oh man, I saw it, and I wanted to stop. I was going somewhere. I wanted to stop and go, hey man, what's going on with your? But those are looking very cool as a new sort of. Yeah, Harley's kind of changed up their thing a little bit. They want to. Especially with a big adventure bike, that's a big change.
It's a big deal for Harley. Harley's never done anything in the adventure bike category before, and it's kind of shocking to see how many people are so into it. We were a little uncertain when it first came out, like how well is this bike gonna do? And we haven't had one sit on the showroom. They've all been pre-sold statewide.
So it's going head to head with that GS and KTM, and actually it's more reasonable than the KTM big adventure bike. So that was a big surprise too. Like, okay, we're right in the price wise, right in the middle. And again, then you start getting into the gear and you start, but again, as a base bike, man, it looks nice.
It's a great bike. And, Harley's also brought to the table a new electric bike that is phenomenal to ride. I got a chance to ride that.
What's that called?
Coming to Hawaii soon. The Livewire.
Livewire, that's right.
And when you're on it, it makes no sound, but you can feel a pulse in your hand that lets you know the bike is on. Instant power. So
it's straight torque. That's what everybody's so excited about electric, because it's like straight torque. There's nothing in between.
There's nothing, and what a better place than Hawaii to have one where, the state supports the electric vehicles. You can easily find a place to charge. You're not going a very long distance. You can, with 100 miles range, 200 miles range, you're good to go. You have nothing to worry about. And they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
And it's a step up from the, there's a lot of bikes, as far as, bicycles, and those are getting pretty souped up, almost motorcycle-like. Some of them you have to have a license, but sounds like maybe that's something you guys are looking at too.
We got a little surprise coming for everybody for the holidays. We have ventured into the e-bikes, and we are bringing a brand, Wicked Thumb, to the dealerships and to the islands. And it's like a stretched cruiser, almost like a chopper.
Oh man!
You can put 8 hangers on it. We're gonna dress them up. We're really excited about it. They're affordable. They're gonna be fun. I think some adults are gonna have some nice Christmas presents this year.
Hey, it might be a good alternative to a motorcycle, maybe. But no, it's cool that you can. It just provides a lot more flexibility with the bike. Option. It's a little smaller. You don't have to have the license necessarily, and and everybody, the whole family can kind of mess around on it.
Well, maybe it's the stepping stone that you need to get to the bike, right?
That's right. This is
Like my guys told you, we're gonna get her through the door. You're gonna get her some flowers.
That's right. Yeah.
Then you're gonna get some matching electric bikes, and then
That's okay. Yeah.
take it a little bit further, right?
His and hers. Here's
we'll get some his and her electric bikes, and
that's right.
Then want to venture around the island for a nice cruise on your new Harley.
That's awesome. Now a lot of people do that. What are sometimes some of the areas that are get a little bit of extra wind. What if you're driving on Oahu? What are some of your things that you warn people about as you head them out the door?
Oh, of course, just your surroundings. We have a lot of tourism out here, and you have to be aware that not everybody's familiar with the roads. So frequent lane changes could occur.
Right.
Just know where you're at. Give yourself enough room to get out of the way.
I've seen mid lane change selfies going on over here. They're changing lanes, and the passenger's like, yeah, and the other one's like, it's like, okay, guys.
They're in the fast lane and they see the H2 exit and they shoot over 4 lanes. That's a fun one.
Right.
Been in that situation a couple times, but that's the biggest thing. The wind is a little bit of a factor, but I would say for the most part, unless you're coming around H3 is probably the tricky one. It's because it can hit you from either direction.
Right.
Ultimately, just enjoy the ride. It's not a race.
That's right. Take it easy, cruise, enjoy. And there's motorcycle rentals available out there too. But so as you're coming out of the pandemic and different things, how many employees? How large is your company?
We have about 300 employees across the whole company.
Yeah, that's a good size. That's a good size company. Yeah. Everyone's competing for staff these days. How's it going for you guys as far as a Hawaii-based business? And are you able to keep your folks, or are you still competing for those entry-level positions like everyone else?
We're in constant competition when it comes to employees, and ironically, we're not getting a lot of applicants. It's difficult to hire right now. We have open positions across the board, and it's a difficult market for employment right now. They're not coming to the table, and unfortunately, some of them don't like working. Hey, time, and
right. So that's interesting to note you're hiring, because again, I think everybody's trying to hire. There's definitely opportunity. So when I was young, there was this expectation that everybody went out and got a job right away. Maybe labor laws makes it a little bit difficult, and the time required for school and things like that. What was your experience? I think we know that you were already working. Your friends and things like that. What do you think would be helpful for the young guys right now, or maybe coming out of high school or still in high school? Are there opportunities out there?
Well, I think it's important to instill a strong work ethic in these kids. I really do. I think they should start early, whether it's playing sports, academically, whatever their parents need to do to let them know that it's not easy out there, and you got to provide one way or the other. And if you're not to me, being a student is a job.
Right.
My kids, they know their job. I expect A's.
So wait. I think people might have missed it. It said your kids. Now are you talking about your children, or also you're a coach as well? Yeah. Are you talking about, let's hear it. So this is your philosophy on your team, and let's hear about it.
Yeah, well, I am the JV basketball coach for Mililani High School. Okay. But I also have 2 boys, so 17 and 13.
Okay.
And with the team, which I got involved in high school about 4 years ago, with my son and the rest of the kids, it's kind of like, okay, we're here for basketball, but how can we help mold young adults?
Right.
So we wanted to instill a solid work ethic. We wanted them to understand that they had to earn every minute on the court, and grades were a solid expectation of ours. Mm-hmm. 2.0 will allow you to qualify to play sports, but it won't allow you minutes on my team.
Right.
So we expect a 3-point goal.
Okay. So setting some higher standards there, setting some higher expectations. I think we're afraid to do that. Sometimes we're afraid to do that, but I think that's a good idea, both at home and at work.
But yeah, and we provided these kids the opportunity. So most sports practices in the afternoon or early evening. What we did was our practice started at 5:30 in the morning, and they start at 5:30 in the morning. So you're to be there between 5:15, 5:20.
Can't just roll in at 5:30, like, what's going on?
You roll in at 5:30, you're not getting on the court. That's just that simple.
Late.
So, 5:30 practice starts, 7 a.m. practice finishes. As a unit, the team will go to the locker rooms to get ready. And then they will go, my wife is a teacher at the high school. They'll go to her class where we provide breakfast for the boys to eat. Mm-hmm. And what this does is by the time the bell rings at 8:30, these kids are ready to go. Mm-hmm. They've already had a practice. They're wide awake. They're fed. And there's no excuses for not being ready at period 1. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they have a 1-hour study hall every day as a team together. I keep saying that because I also think it's important throughout life to understand teamwork. Everything we do is centered around the team, one way or the other. So they gel that way. And at the end of the study hall, they're to go home and have some family time, get a good night rest, because we're back at it in the morning.
Right. Yeah, that starts to set some boundaries. I think it's a similar type of regimen that's what happens when they go into the military, or if they go into a regular job sort of scenario. There's expectation that they're there on time, and that there's this, that they be present, and that they're engaged, and they're not just, floating through this, experience. So, do your boys play ball? Or they,
yeah.
So you're coach and dad too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach and dad. And
so we'll have to have them on and see how that's working out for them. But
I'm proud of my 2 boys, but I think all parents are.
That's right. Well, yeah. And so that's so awesome. Again, that sort of leadership that you're providing for young adults is, I think, important. And I think something that I think we all need to remember as these young folks, especially with all this COVID, and they're separated from lots of things that they're used to be, have that connection with. So now trying to just bring them out, let them know that it's going to be okay, and that there's a space for them in this workplace, but they do have to learn how to work.
Yeah, they have to have that work ethic. There's no doubt. And, instilling it in them young is very important. And right. COVID, it's unfortunate that these kids lost a year. It really is. I mean, that's a tragedy.
It was a big
4 years of high school, and to miss out on one, it's not missing out on basketball games. It's missing out on the memories you have from those games,
right,
from those practices. Uh-huh. I'm be 40 in a couple days, and I still talk about my high school basketball days all the time. It's the biggest memories I have. And I also, now being older, recognize the importance of some of my coaches in my life. Mm-hmm. They really helped in a lot of different ways. So
all that stuff is sort of
one of them.
Right. Have you been able to see some of your old coaches?
Oh yeah, I'm very close with one.
See, now that's very cool, because then you have that opportunity to like now bounce back off the stuff, and they can tell you about how you responded when they told you that, 30 years ago or whatever it was. No, you're not that. It's just turning 40. Turning 40. Okay. So that's super cool. So there's opportunities, there's jobs available where you're at, but we want to let these young folks know that things are okay, and that there's a place for them. And so very much appreciate your work volunteering. I'm sure, the coaching is not a highly paid position. No. Yeah, it's for the joy. For the love of the game, and not probably, maybe these guys, some of them will go on to play some college ball, and you want to provide those opportunities. And I think Hawaii is very well known for that. So I don't think you're the only one who's teaching these principles. I think it's a Hawaii thing where that, very respectful, these basketball teams, you go on and act a fool on these courts, the home team really comes at, your own coach and everybody really comes after you. It feels like that.
It does. It is. One thing about Hawaii is from growing up here till today, people value respect and they respect each other. And I think that's really an important attribute to instill in these young kids. You don't go out there and act a fool. You're not going to get anywhere with that. Yeah, because
it's the same thing in your, as you continue on in your employment careers, as these young folks will. I mean, but when you were young, did you see yourself, in their high school days, 20 years ago when you were a high school kid, did you see yourself selling cars the rest of your life and, being in this business? Did you have other dreams? What did you want to do?
Initially, of course, I wanted to play basketball, and then I was thinking about being an attorney one day. But, I wasn't big on the school, the price. I didn't want to do the schooling, and here I am now, and I actually am attending Chaminade University to finish my degree.
Okay.
I go to Kansas City to go to an automotive dealer school every other month.
Okay.
So I'm regretting not taking these classes and going to school early on, because now here I am and I see the value. But again,
circumstances,
a little bit older.
Yeah. And that happened. Everybody's got their own course, but that's good advice. Go ahead and get it while you're young, because it gets a little more complicated as you get older, because you're trying to provide for your family as you have a family, and then go to school, which really does take time. It just doesn't like, hey, I signed up for my class and the paper don't write itself, right?
Right. I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm going till midnight doing homework, and because I got to run this company during the days and then coach and everything else. So I really do wish I would have followed through with the school thing a little earlier in life, but everything happens for a reason. Yeah. And I respect it now.
Yeah. It takes discipline and learning that. The younger you learn that, that's good. But there's some advantage, college in general is good, but there's also a lot of good trade folks. You probably have a hard time finding mechanics.
Oh, that's a nationwide, worldwide problem right now.
Right.
Mechanics and technicians, the trade is it's going. People aren't as interested in it. It's not a big career move for people. And I think what's happening is the cars have gotten so sophisticated and they're no longer called mechanics, they're called technicians.
Right.
They're always on a computer and diagnosing these vehicles. But when you stop and think about it, now they have all these other fields they can get into that involve computers and computer software.
Right.
That pool is getting smaller and smaller.
Right.
So technicians is definitely number one priority for us.
Right. And so what are the options in Hawaii? I know there's maybe an auto program at some of the community colleges, but it's small engine mechanic. There's nothing, because they can specify, small engine, boat, marine, small engine motorcycle, each, and then specific to each brand, because there's different ways that their motors work and things. Very difficult to specialize, find someone that's can specialize in all of those.
Yeah. And the kids that are going to the mainland for the bigger schools, and then we're trying to attract them back. But when they realize the cost of living on the mainland is so much less than what they can have, and then there's more opportunities, it does get difficult to attract those students back to Hawaii.
Yeah, they're getting gobbled up right away, right out of school, because the recruiting, those businesses are coming to their graduation day,
We had a fixed ops director that got involved with the students their senior year in high school, and then would follow them all the way through whatever college they attended, trying to make them job offers along the way just to get them to come back to Hawaii.
Right.
And it was a job, it was a task.
Right.
And it's a difficult field right now.
Yeah, some of these technical, specific, electronics. Also, where I talked with someone, Rhino Irwin, a gentleman whose business is also for solar, and Hawaii Unified is the name of it, is his company. But he's trying to find. That's what his challenge was. Is he was trying to find these trades and trying to find people that could help to move, because that's what we need. We need fixers, builders, and also again, technicians now. Automotive based technicians. It reminds me of a video I saw. After 5 years, Tesla, their service goes away. I'm not sure what's the there's a certain limited not warranty, but as far as be able to call in and say, hey, something's wrong with my car, can you help me fix it?
Yeah, their warranty.
Right. And then after that, though, you have to take it into the Tesla dealer. And you can't do like, hey, can I order this part? Can I order this part? It's all sort of an enclosed sort of a system there. So gaining access to that. And this guy, in order to know what was going on with his car, had to pull the whole thing apart. And, fortunately he was an engineer, so he could do that kind of stuff. But it's coming to a point where basically, if you want to upgrade your car, it's almost like a phone. You got to go and get your phone upgraded. You got to go get a new car upgrade. It's so tell me how that's affecting your, the future of cars. You've got this nice line over in the, in the Vision. Tell me the name of your,
Velocity. Yeah,
Velocity. Yeah, thanks.
Every manufacturer is pushing towards electrification. Every single one. Doesn't matter who you look up. They all have an agenda to go electric.
Right.
And, it does limit the amount of times we see the customer because there's less maintenance required.
Mm-hmm.
But in my personal opinion, there's also a lot of unknowns about electric.
Sure.
It hasn't been around long enough to truly understand, okay, 5-10-year-old cars, what happens to them? How do we fix them? When the warranties do run out, most of them are, I believe, around 8 years.
Okay, I was maybe a little short on my 5,
When that comes to an end, it's going to be very costly to have to replace the batteries and whatnot. And,
right.
The true cost of owning electric is not that much cheaper than gas. Actually, some models show that it'll cost you more.
Right.
But
they're super convenient though. Everybody and their brother's got a Tesla over here, and you hop in and it knows who you are, and you're just it's the ease of use is just, it's like a little wraparound robot for your drive.
100%. And again, Hawaii is, in my opinion, in a class of its own because it's so supported.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to certain states, finding a charge could be pretty difficult.
Right.
I think we have a great market for electric vehicles. I definitely think it's the future. It's just still a lot of questions to be answered.
Right.
A lot of
how do we recycle, a
how
500-pound battery, right?
What happens to the batteries when they're bad?
Right.
So there's sure some challenges ahead, but ultimately, every study shows it is better for the environment. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. So being on the forefront and trying to find solutions to make your business work over here. It's it sounds like a full-time job, probably more than 40 hours a week. But how do you, so as you engage work, how do you keep balance with everything? You're managing all of these things, and what's your sort of go-to to keep it all steady? It sounds like, again, you've got so much going on, but as a leader, how do you set your priorities?
A lot of people ask how I juggle everything and with the hours I work, because I do go 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. But I got to say that the thing is it's not work for me. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love what I do. So it's very easy for me to go about my day. It starts really early. I start about 4 o'clock in the morning in the gym. I get my mind right. And then it's off to the races until 9-10 o'clock at night at least. But it's, when you love what you do, it doesn't become work. It's not stressful, and it's really not a juggling act. It's just pretty simple. It's part
of a normal life. Right. Yeah. And now, and this too, we also like on Hawaii Boss, we like to, after we find out about you, but we want to find out a little bit more. It's kind of our section where we call sort of Pauhana, where we kind of relax a little bit and stuff. And so, maybe you can say, maybe it's your friend. What's the fastest you've ever heard your friend go on on a motorcycle?
We'll go with 115.
Hey, not bad. Harley can move. I heard.
Got a governor at 150.
Okay, so yes, it's limited access.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now, it sounds like you guys don't have a lot of time to unwind, but do you guys, with the basketball, do you do some other tournaments, club stuff? How do you get out there and do that, express that a little bit more?
So, I am involved with open court basketball. It's a local club here by ex-University of Hawaii player, Jeremy Robinson. And it's a great club. We have kids starting out at 7 years old all the way up to 18, 19. And we go all over the island and play with all different teams. But here most recently, we actually went to Las Vegas to play in 3 tournaments back to back and give the kids a chance to play with some 7-footers and some big boys. And
right.
I gotta tell you, Hawaii would make you proud. We did well out there at all different age brackets, and it was just a fantastic experience.
It's about ball movement anyway.
It is.
And your timing and spacing, right?
Yep.
We'll have to have another whole episode on your love of basketball.
Yeah,
that's right. Get some of the guys on there, and they can tell how it works, how it is working for the coach or working with the coach here. But so how about spaces that you like, in Hawaii, when your family unwinds? Is there places you like to go and be as your getaway from, already being in paradise?
My getaway is taking that motorcycle ride. I truly love it. So if it's a nice clear morning, my wife and I are on the bike and we're going around. We're going to make our stops. We're going to ride the coast. We'll stop at Sandy Beach. We'll stop in the North Shore.
Right.
Just being with the motorcycle community and riding is my getaway.
And if you got a nice, that's right. If you got a nice motorcycle too, makes a nice little crowd pleaser as you're, little head turning and things like that as you're, cruising through. That's awesome. Getting out there. Yeah, I did some rides up Waianae Coast. Pretty cool up there, and get to see everything and lots of cool places. Now, how about for food? You're kind of down by the airport where you guys live. I always want to find out from folks if they need to get out of the office and get something quick and they enjoy some food, or place they like to go to a lot. Where do you like to go down at work? Because your office is right there at Cycle City?
I'm at Cycle City.
Okay.
If I was being honest,
we're tattled.
My number one lunch spot is gonna be the Cycle City vending machine.
No way.
We have Uncrustables in there, Maui onion chips, and a Diet Coke. And that would be
sounds like a square one. That's a square meal to me. You just need a candy bar and finish it off, right?
Well, there's a bag of M&Ms for dessert, but that would be about 5 days a week for me. But I would say my hidden jewel for a restaurant would be Henry Louis. I think that's just a great little spot to go sit and enjoy a nice lunch.
What kind of food does it got there?
Hawaiian food.
Okay.
So you
get some lau, maybe some.
It's a great little hidden jewel.
I like getting some pork. If there's a good place that gets pork and peas, man, let me have it. So anyway, Jay, it was really a pleasure meeting with you today, finding out a little bit more about your work, your profession, and your success at it, and some words of wisdom to the youth, and also some of the folks coming up, and some of the challenges you guys are facing. Any parting words or anything like that you think that to help us to what to look forward to, where we see things going here in the next 5-10 years for Hawaii?
I think we're just going to continue to push. We're going to get out of this COVID thing together as one community and get our lives back in order and enjoy this beautiful place that we live.
Right.
Before I go, I do want to thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the time today.
Hey, Jay, no, it's been my pleasure. I love learning about the things that real Hawaii bosses do. That's, I'm not the boss. I come into the boss's office, and so I get to hear from real pros like you. So again, thanks, sir. And Until next time, aloha.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.